if you want to live as long as possible, feeling as amazing as possible, why would you ever make an effort to raise your heart rate to such a degree? It's because, why? Because you want to burn the calories to pretend to hide the fact that you can't control your tongue. You know, a lot of people are doing all this cardio stuff to cover up the fact that they're overeating.
Yeah.
Right, to burn calories.
Yeah.
You would never need to burn any calories.
I think I do that for sure. I mean, that brings up a great next point. It's like, I don't know, what would be your take on, because I feel, for me, I think my biggest addiction is probably food, like more than anything else. I think I used to drink too many IPAs every now and then, but I don't really drink anymore. But food, for sure, I definitely know that that's a place where I would struggle. That would be my next sort of practice. So, and I know the last time I saw you, 25 years ago, we went out to lunch and you had your last meal at noon. That's what they do in Vipassana. I was wondering if you could, share, like, how has your relationship with food evolved? What are you doing around food? What do you think is the best way to relate to food these days?
Well, first of all, I mean, we don't even have to go into, eating clean, because that's the priority. There's two major things about food. Number one is cleanliness, putting as minimal amount of toxins in you as possible. But something just as poisonous as toxins, additives to food, is overeating. So overeating is toxic, and you can poison yourself on tofu. I mean, I hate tofu anyway, so I'm not going to eat any anyways. But you get my point. Even things that are supposed to be healthy are poisonous if they're done in excess. Right. It's like any yoga pose. If you go too far, it's no longer beneficial. It's harmful. Right? The key is gentleness or moderation, and that's the key in diet. There was a great, when you were in LA and when we were doing our teachers training, she was involved in our teachers training, because I used to bring her into my teachers training to add the Iyengar aspect of my training. It was a lady named Lisa Walford.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I studied with her for sure.
Yeah, well, Lisa Walford has a father named Dr. Roy Walford, who's a professor of gerontology at UCLA. Gerontology is the science of aging. And he was also the person who headed up that, I don't know if you remember that thing called the biosphere.
Oh,
where a bunch of people lived in a bubble for 2 years or something, right? That was his project.
Wow.
So he did a study with rats, and he did the same study with monkeys. He got the same results with both. They're doing the same studies with humans, but our life is so long that, the studies will take much longer. Although up to this point, they're getting the exact same results as rats and monkeys. And the study they had a control group of rats and monkeys that they put on a calorie restricted diet. And they let the other group basically eat what they wanted. I think the calorie restricted diet, they were given 30% less food, right? The group on a calorie restricted diet lived 30% longer and had 80% less age-related disease just from eating less.
Yeah.
Just from eating less. You ask me what I'm doing. I eat one meal a day. That's it.
One meal a day.
One meal a day, and I don't snack.
So are you?
That's my diet, right? I used to, when I knew you, I ate 2 meals a day. I would have breakfast and lunch, like you said. After lunch, I wouldn't eat anything. Right? Now, at my age, I don't feel like I need 2 meals a day. I'm fine with 1 meal a day.
Wow.
I've been doing this for a while. I feel great. You want to make sure that you're getting everything you need in that 1 meal, but I eat 1 meal a day, and it's so weird to me how our macho culture, wants everybody to be bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
It's so antithetical to health that they don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, listen, there's a universal law. Every viewer that is going to watch your podcast understands that law in some way. And that law says the harder you are on anything, the faster you destroy
Yeah.
it. That's universal
You
law.
know,
The more weight your skeleton has to carry, the faster you're going to wear it out.
yeah.
Okay, so again, how can you take gentleness, which is another word for moderation, into the amount of weight that you're carrying around with you every day?
Right.
How can you take gentleness, which is another word for moderation, which is the key to every healthy relationship on earth,
Yeah.
gentleness?
Yeah.
How can you take that into diet, moderation, not eating too
Yeah.
much, not eating too little either, right? So we all have to work out for ourselves what we need, but I would say, considering that 70% of Americans are overweight and 50% of them are considered obese, I think it's something that we need to look at very clearly.
Yeah, for sure. And did you ever struggle with like how did controlling your eating and because now they call that time restricted eating, but you just did it because it felt right, and that's what I love about your approach is they study it and they come up with things, but you're like from the yogi, you're like coming from the inside, learning it, feeling what does right, and then doing that. Did you struggle with like eating less, like ending at noon? And because what I love about Vipassana is like prison, right? And I'm not going to break the rules. I'm going to stop eating at noon. But once I get home, that's a different story. It's a lot harder. So did that come naturally to you, or did you struggle with it?
The idea came naturally, not the practice. Because, first of all, you have to understand that your body's a creature of habit.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're eating a certain way and then you stop, let's say you're eating, dinner every day, and then one day you decide not to eat dinner
Yeah.
anymore, you're going to get extremely hungry at dinner time.
Yeah.
Right? Because your body's saying it's time to eat, even though you don't need food, you become addicted to eating at that time.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, it's not easy to break addictions. And there's no easy way to break addiction. So all I can say to you is, no, it wasn't easy at all. It was very difficult until I got myself on a new rhythm,
Right.
right? Just like you talk to any heroin addict or nicotine addict,
Right.
they're going to tell you breaking the addiction wasn't easy.
Right.
But 1, 2, 3 years after they tried, it's much easier.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll
But
go.
you gotta deal with this stuff,
Yeah.
Michael. There's no avoiding the
Totally.
challenge, man.